All right, hello everyone. It's me, Mr. Martinez. First of all, thank you, Mr. Rayner, for subbing for me today. I'm not feeling too well. The rain and everything like that kind of got to me. So I will be back tomorrow, that would be Tuesday since I'm doing this Sunday night. So if you have any questions, I will be available at Leishman on Tuesday, 3105. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover a program that allows us to finally do user input. Now, what we've been doing so far is we have been doing, if we needed to use a variable, we would say A is equal to this, B is equal to this, C is equal to this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to allow the user to be able to put the variables in for themselves to make our programs a little bit more interactive. So let's get started. Let's not waste any time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new Java project, and I'm just going to call this one user input. And hit finish. And then again, don't create your module. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new class. I'm going to call this one user input. I'm going to put a checkbox here for this public static void main string args. I'll leave it for a second so that you can see it. And Windows show view console. I want to get my console ready. There we go. Perfect. So you guys are used to this program. All right, here we go. Now, as we've learned so far, we have things like strings that have methods of like .length, .substring, .to uppercase, and .to lowercase. We also have the math class, which has .pow, .absolute value, etc., etc. So we have all of those things. But there is another class that we are going to use, and that's called the scanner class. But here's how it's different than the other two. With string, we didn't have to do anything special. With the math class, we didn't have to do anything special. But with the scanner class, we do. Scanner is in what we call a utilities folder in Java. It was created for us. We don't have to do anything, but we have to import it in. And the reason why is back when Java was first created, it was all about saving memory. It was all about saving size. And to save size, what they did was they put it in a folder, and then if you needed that utility, you could bring it in when you needed to. Well, now we need to. So right up here, now if you remember the rule about package, if you have it, don't erase it. If you don't have it, don't add it. We want to be either, if there's no package, you want to be above your class. If there is a package, you want to be between the package and the class. Okay? Generally right above the class line. I'm going to say import java.util.asterisk. Now what that does, the asterisk is basically code for import everything in the utilities folder. And what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to create the scanner class. Let me make this a little larger for you. So again, let's start off. Now the scanner class is something, it is an object. It is something that we have to create that will allow the user to input data that we can store in a variable. Whenever we have user input, whenever we know we are going to need user input, the very first thing that we need to do is we need to create our scanner object. So we are going to say scanner KB. Now it's just like making a variable. You know how you say string name, int x. KB it can be anything. KB is just short for keyboard. I could say keyboard. I could say inputs. Anything, it doesn't matter. The key thing is that I'm going to create an object from the scanner class. And I'm going to say equals new scanner. Oops, sorry about that. Scanner, a little early on my parentheses, system.in, semicolon. So what I have now done is I have created an object that has all these methods to put data into our folder or into our machine. Now, as advanced as computers are, there's certain things that we still can't do. So for example, when I ask a number for a number, there's a method that doubles. There's no method that can accept both and determine which is which. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist. Still to this day, even in Python, that doesn't exist. So we're going to take baby steps, and we're going to go slow. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do the first one for accepting integers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the user to enter A. Enter an integer. Please enter an integer. Now, just like with any questions or with whenever I'm asking for user input, I always ask the question first. There's no trick statement or anything like that about this. This is just a print statement asking the user to please input a number. I'm going to store it. It's an integer, so I'm going to store it. We'll call this one int A. And what we do is we now say int A equals kb.nextint with a capital I. kb.nextint. Now, kb is the name of the object. Okay, kb is the name of the object. Nextint is the method. So if I asked you what is the method that accepts integers in the scanner class, you would say nextint. To demonstrate how this now works, I'm going to run this. And if you look in my console, please enter an integer. Now, to get it working, you hear me clicking my console? Click in your console, the number that you input should be like a light color green. So I'm going to say 23 and hit enter. My program has run perfectly. So technically what has happened is please enter an integer has printed out, and what the process is, it says int A equals, this method right here says pause. Pause a moment. Wait for the user to input, store it in A. So if I wanted to print out the value of A now, I could concatenate A is equal to plus A. So if I say 34, A is equal to 34. A now stores the value 34 inside of it. So this is it's pretty cool. It's starting to see you can be able to hopefully understand how we do math equations, how a calculator works. So I'm going to get rid of this line. Copy and paste as our friend. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say please enter another integer. This time I'll say this is B. But this time what I'll do is I'm going to use my escape sequence for a new line, and I'm going to say system.println together A and B are, and now I'm just going to add them. So please enter an integer. 23, 34, together A and B are 57. So what I've done is I was able to add the variables. Think of a calculator. Think of the ideas. For example, think of grade books. Please enter grade 1. Please enter grade 2. Think of items at a grocery store. Register 1. That receipt is basically having a list and storing item 1 equals this, item 2 equals this, then it adds them all together. So it's kind of cool. Now, these are integers. The key thing again that I need you to know is nextint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this line or these lines, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you for floating point or numbers with decimals. Now I'm pretty sure that all of you kind of already have an idea of what this might be. So if we're going to make C and D, and we want doubles. So if I was looking for nextint in order to get an integer, what do you think it's going to be to hold a doubles? 3, 2, 1. Right, next double. And what this allows me to do is that this allows me to hold any number. Notice the camel casing, the D is capitalized. So I've got 23, 34, and now I'm going to do 65.7 and 89 or 98. Works perfectly. Let me add this down here. Let me add this one and let me multiply them. Together C times D is, and I'll change this to C times D. So 23, 34, let's say 14 and 54.8. 7.67. Together, C times D is 765.38. So recapping right now, we have integers. Okay, in order to start integers, we need a method, nextint. Now think about it. If I were to ask you a question, what would your age be stored in? If you ask somebody to use their age, you're going to use the nextint method. If I ask them how many countries they've been to, nextint. You can't be to half a country, etc. If I was asking for an average, you would probably do a double. If I was asking for a percentage, you would do a next double. So make sure logically the questions make sense. Now, age, you could do that loophole. I'm 18 and a half. Let's be real. Most people just say 18. So this is nextint, this is next double, and this goes over the import and the creation of the scanner class. Now, in my next video, what does it look like we are missing? We are missing strings. So we're going to go over that in my next video. Again, we are done. Philip, please load the next video.